As follow-up to our live stream, we're going to show you some really simple ways to get started to add some raw whole food nutrition into your bird's diet. Step one could be as easy as getting some shelled nuts from anuts.com, such as shelled walnuts, pecans, almonds, or even Brazil nuts, and soaking them. Another simple step is using China Prairie's citizen sprouting mix along with their easy sprouter system to start some sprouts. Please don't be afraid of the easy sprouters like the birds are right now. No, it actually is a very easy system to use, and I'm going to take you through the process. So all this is available at China Prairie. So I'm going to use the citizen blend along with the easy sprouters, and let's get it started. So both Jason and I are going to take you through the steps of the process of both soaking and sprouting to help you get started today.
One of the easiest ways to get started, soaking shelled nuts, such as walnuts, pecans, almonds, even macadamia nuts. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to use the very convenient easy sprouters that I got from China Prairie to get the process started. You can soak the nuts as is, or you chop them. So last time I soaked the nuts, I did it as is. I'm just going to chop them a little bit this time and try something different for the birds. I really quickly chopped the nuts, and I got a little supervisor here with me, Curacao. It's always good whenever you're soaking and or sprouting to start with a really good rinse with cool water. I just finished a quick rinse, and the easy sprouter really does make this process simple. That's why they call it the easy sprouter. So final step to soaking the shell nuts is to just fill the easy sprouter with cool water. You're gonna have it soak overnight. Curacao is quote unquote helping me, right? Delaying bedtime. He's helping me do food prep. He's insisting. Alright, I'll break the rules. Again. So what makes soaking shell nuts better? It makes the nutrients more available to the body and also more digestible. Really, there's nothing more easy than this. You rinse, you soak overnight, you rinse again, and then you feed. Simplest thing to do. Second thing you could do, and that is sprout the citizen mix from China Prairie using the easy sprouters, also from China Prairie. Really easy to do. So I typically do no more than 1 cup per easy sprouter. So I'm going to do 2 of the easy sprouters. And the very first step to any time that you soak or sprout is, of course, a really good rinse. And you're rinsing just really to remove any dust that might be present. Even though it's organic, it's a good first step to do. So after a rinse, just get rid of the water, and then we can start the soaking process. So the soaking process just begins by filling up your easy sprouter with cool water. Once you have the easy sprouters all filled with water, the soaking process begins. You just need to soak this for 8 to 10 hours. And if you forget about the soaking time, it reminds you of the instructions on the bag, 8 to 10 hours. Are you wondering why soaking is even necessary? Well, it's necessary because soaking actually jump starts the growth of the seed. Both seeds and nuts have fat, and they use that energy to grow into a plant. So that's why soaking is necessary before you could start the sprouting process. Now, our birds love garbanzo beans. So I'm going to add this as another bit of diversity to entice them to eat more of the sprout mix. First, I'm going to do a quick rinse. Rinsing, dispose of the water, and I'm going to start the soaking process. So I will soak the garbanzo beans for 12 to 24 hours. I'm actually finding they do better when I soak them a little bit longer. So I'll soak them closer to 24 hours this time before I sprout them. And with the garbanzo beans, you want to make sure you have plenty of water. Everything now is on the counter, already starting the soaking process. It's now the next morning, so everything has been soaking for 9-10 hours now. So the chopped mixed nuts, I'm going to drain, rinse, and then feed today. A close look at the soaked, shelled, mixed nuts, all ready to go. Now let's get to the China Prairie Citizen mix and the garbanzo beans. Okay, so this is now going to be step 2. So we just soaked between 8 and 10 hours all of these mixes, right? So let's start with the China Prairie Citizen blend. Now what we have to do as step 2 is rinse and dip in a GSE and water stabilizer solution. So this is step 2 to the sprouting process, right? So I gotta rinse these really well. And this water left over, by the way, I understand is really good for your house plants or outdoor plants. For the next 1 to 2 days, as we give this sprouting mix a chance to sprout, what's really important is that we have to keep this mix clean. So 2 to 3 times a day, that's it, just 2 to 3 times a day, you want to give it a good rinse and dip it for a few minutes in a GSE and water-based solution. You can get this GSE solution also from China Prairie. So why is this rinse and dip process so important to do 2 to 3 times a day? Because this is how you're going to keep your mix clean and free from mold and whatever else you might be fearing to grow. So this is a really important process. Don't overdo this. This is really just 2 to 3 times a day during the sprouting days. Now, after dipping in the GSE and water solution, I just give it a good shake. Get rid of the water, and then this is ready to go back on the counter to start the sprouting process. Let the sprouting begin.
Here's a tip for effective sprouting using the Easy Sprouter. This system is great. It makes it really easy. So you'll notice there's an outer vessel and there's an inner vessel. You want to make sure that the inner vessel is sitting on the top inner ledge here. You'll see you don't want it to fall all the way down. You actually want to make sure it sits on top because it gives room for extra airflow there on the bottom.
Hi everybody. So as Lou just talked about, she was soaking some things in her Easy Sprouter. I love ChinaPrairie.com's Easy Sprouter because of the way it's designed and lets a lot of air flow. By having this dome, the air gets pulled up and the current then allows for more airflow. And the strainer comes out so it's even easier to get everything well drained and while it's sprouting. So what I did was I put some things that I'm getting ready to add to my mash into these sprouters, and then I literally will fill them up. I've got things like mung beans and garbanzos in here, 2 of the 3 beans that you can actually soak and sprout. This is after after a full day of soaking and a full day of sprouting, so you can see they've taken off. And just typically what I do is I use cool tap water, and I just fill up the container so that they're covered, and I put the lid back on, shake them up a bit, and then I'll just tip this over and drain it. And what you have then is you have these sprouts that are well drained that you can then add to your mash. So what I'll do is I've already made chop, and I've already done the soak nuts that you saw Lou soaking. We get all of our nuts from anuts.com. So we've got almonds and Brazil nuts and some other things in here, walnuts, pecans, and some of the other things that we soak that we'll talk about at another time. And I'll add my sprouts right to this and mix it all up, and I'm ready to go in the morning to feed the birds. So hopefully this helps give you some ideas as to how we're using the Easy Sprouter from China Prairie, using anuts.com nuts, and adding it to other things to increase the maximum amount of diversity. When you soak these things, you're already activating them so that they germinate, and that increases the digestibility and the bioavailability of the nutrients so that the birds can more readily absorb those nutrients. So soaking water does amazing things for these foods in making their nutrients more accessible. So hope this helps. Take care.